The first bullet punched through Chief Hayes' shoulder before anyone even heard the shot. The second missed Torres by inches and shattered a tree trunk. Then the forest exploded. 8 enemy snipers firing from 30 meters up in the canopy, invisible, untouchable, turning the trees into a kill zone. SEAL Team 7's designated marksman went down in the first minute with a sucking chest wound. Air support, grounded, quick reaction force, 45 minutes out. They were trapped, bleeding, dying. That's when Victoria Mitchell, the quiet operator who'd been with them 6 months without firing a single combat shot, slid behind a log, brought up her MK-13, and systematically eliminated 8 professional snipers scattered across 600 meters of forest in 12 minutes of shooting so perfect it would be studied for years. Drop a comment, hit subscribe, because what you're about to see is how one silent professional turned certain death into a masterclass in precision violence. The forest was dense enough to hide an army, and that's exactly what made it perfect killing ground. 30-meter pines stretched into gray European sky, branches creating a canopy so thick that noon felt like twilight on the forest floor. Underbrush tangled between trees, ferns, brambles, moss-covered logs making every step treacherous. The air hung heavy with the smell of damp earth and pine resin, that particular scent of old-growth forest untouched for decades. Petty Officer First Class, Victoria Mitchell moved through it like smoke, her MK-13 sniper rifle held in low ready, green eyes constantly scanning the canopy above. 29 years old, average height, lean build from years carrying heavy equipment over brutal terrain. Dark brown hair pulled back in a tight braid under her helmet. Her face had that weathered look of someone who'd spent years in harsh environments, not hard, just seasoned, like leather that had seen use and gotten better for it. SEAL Team 7 moved in tactical formation, 12 operators plus Victoria, spread out in a loose wedge that balanced mutual support against vulnerability to ambush. Each operator carried roughly 80 pounds of gear, weapons, ammunition, body armor, communications equipment, medical supplies. They moved with the practiced efficiency of professionals who'd done this hundreds of times, knew the rhythm, understood the dance. Lieutenant Jake Morrison led from the front. 32, combat veteran with 3 deployments and a Navy Cross he never mentioned. The kind of officer who led by example rather than rank, who ate last and checked on his people before himself. Chief Petty Officer Marcus Hayes was the senior enlisted. 40, grizzled, had been doing this since before half the team was born. Former Marine Recon who'd switched to Navy and gone through BUD/S at 28, he was the backbone of the platoon. Institutional knowledge that kept young SEALs alive. Petty Officer Ryan Cooper was 25, eager, still had that invincibility complex from surviving Hell Week. Petty Officer James Torres carried an SR-25 rifle and had solid talent behind a scope. Not elite, but professional. Petty Officer Sarah Chen was their corpsman, 27, former Army medic who'd kept more people alive in worse conditions than most doctors in well-equipped hospitals. The mission was straightforward: reconnaissance patrol, gather intelligence on enemy movement, document supply routes, return to base. Simple, routine, the kind they'd done 100 times, which was exactly when everything went catastrophically wrong. Victoria heard it first, that distinctive supersonic crack of a high-powered rifle, round passing close, followed by the lower-pitched thump of the actual gunshot. Her brain processed it instantly. Sniper, elevated position, approximately 300 meters forward left. Then, Chief Hayes grunted and went down, blood already spreading across his shoulder where the 7.62 millimeter round had punched through the gap between his armor plates. "Contact! Contact canopy!" Morrison's voice cut through chaos. "Snipers in the trees! Take cover!" The team scattered with trained efficiency, each SEAL finding cover while trying to locate threats shooting from positions they could barely see. Another round cracked past Cooper's head so close he felt the pressure wave, embedded itself in a tree behind him with a meaty thunk. Victoria dropped behind a massive fallen pine, her mind processing the tactical situation with cold calculation. Enemy snipers, multiple positions, elevated 40 meters up, interlocking fields of fire, professional setup. Another shot cracked out, Torres went down screaming, his SR-25 clattering away as he clutched his chest. Chen was moving immediately, combat crawling to him under fire. Jesus Christ! Cooper was firing his M4 into the canopy, full auto, burning through magazines. I can't see them. Where the fuck are they? Morrison tried to coordinate, tried to establish fire superiority, but you couldn't suppress what you couldn't see. Torres, report! Chen's voice came back tight with stress. Sucking chest wound, he's critical. I need immediate casualty evacuation. Morrison keyed his radio to base. Base, this is 7-1. We are in contact with enemy snipers, multiple positions. 2 urgent surgical, 1 routine surgical. Request immediate QRF and air support. The response made everyone's blood run cold. 7-1. Nearest QRF is 45 minutes out. Air assets grounded due to weather. Medical evacuation not available. You are on your own. Recommend break contact and move to extraction point Delta. 45 minutes. Torres would bleed out in 15. Hayes needed surgery in 30. And breaking contact meant moving through forest where enemy snipers had pre-positioned kill zones. They were trapped. Victoria watched Chen working on Torres, watched Hayes trying to apply pressure to his own wound, with hands shaking from shock. Watched Cooper and 3 other SEALs firing blind into the canopy, wasting ammunition on targets they couldn't see. This was exactly the kind of situation she'd trained for, the kind of scenario that had been her entire world for 2 years before she'd transferred to Team 7. She just hadn't mentioned that to anyone. Morrison's voice over comms trying to sound calm, but Victoria heard the edge. All elements, we need to identify sniper positions and neutralize them. We can't move and we can't stay. We need those snipers gone. Victoria made her decision. Morrison, she called out, her voice cutting through chaos with surprising calm. I need 30 seconds of heavy suppressive fire into the canopy. Doesn't need to be accurate, just needs to be loud and make them keep their heads down. Morrison looked at her from his position behind a tree 20 meters away. Even in the chaos, even with people bleeding and dying, he registered something in her voice, absolute certainty that made him pause. Mitchell, what are you... Sir, I can neutralize the snipers, but I need covering fire to reposition, and I need everyone to shut up and let me work. Can you give me that? Something in her eyes made Morrison realize he was looking at someone different from the quiet operator who'd been on his team for 6 months. This was someone else, someone dangerous. How many snipers? He asked. Victoria had already counted. 8 positions, all elevated, overlapping fields of fire. Professional setup. And you think you can take out 8 snipers? I know I can, sir. I just need you to trust me. Morrison looked at Torres, blood soaking through Chen's pressure dressings, looked at Hayes getting paler by the minute, looked at his team pinned down and dying. All elements, he called out. Suppressive fire into the canopy on my mark. Sustain for 30 seconds, then cease fire on my command. Mitchell's going to work. 3, 2, 1, mark. 6 SEALs opened up simultaneously, pouring automatic fire into trees above. It wasn't aimed, they couldn't see targets, but it forced enemy snipers to take cover, to pause their shooting, to hunker down. And that 30-second pause was all Victoria Mitchell needed. She moved fast and low, relocating 40 meters right where a slight rise combined with a fallen tree created a natural shooting position with excellent elevation and concealment. She dropped prone, bringing her Mk-13 up with movements so smooth they looked choreographed. The rifle was a .300 Winchester Magnum, capable of accurate fire out to 1,100 meters under ideal conditions. These weren't ideal. Dense forest, multiple obstructions, elevated targets, ranges varying from 200 to 600 meters. But Victoria had made shots under worse, much worse. Cease fire! Morrison called. The forest went suddenly, eerily quiet except for ringing ears and labored breathing of wounded men. Victoria controlled her breathing, letting her heart rate drop from the sprint, entering that state of focused calm that separated good snipers from exceptional ones. Her scope came up and she began scanning the canopy with systematic precision, looking for signatures that gave away a sniper position even when they thought they were invisible. Most people looked for people. Victoria looked for anomalies, things that didn't belong. A straight line in a world of curves, a shadow falling wrong, foliage moving against wind, the geometry of man-made objects against organic growth. There, 10 o'clock, 38 meters up in a massive pine, a platform barely visible, built from branches and camouflage netting. Professional construction, almost impossible to spot from ground level, almost. But Victoria could see the edge of a boot, just the heel, maybe 2 inches visible through a gap in foliage. 2 inches was enough. She calculated the shot in milliseconds. Range, 340 meters horizontal, 38 meters vertical, giving actual distance of 342 meters along angle of fire. Wind, minimal through trees, but she could see leaves moving at canopy level, maybe 3 miles per hour from west. Temperature, approximately 55 degrees. Humidity, high, maybe 75%. The angle meant she needed to adjust point of aim lower than a level shot at same range. Her scope's reticle settled on a point 6 inches below where she'd seen the boot. Not on the boot, that was cover, on where the body had to be based on position of the boot. She was in that perfect moment between heartbeats, when body was still, when breathing had paused, when the world narrowed to space between crosshairs and target. Her finger took up trigger slack smoothly, steadily, no jerk, no flinch. She fired. The Mk-13 kicked against her shoulder with familiar force. Through her scope, she saw nothing for a moment, then saw a figure pitch forward from the concealed platform. The body tumbled through branches, crashing through foliage that had hidden him so perfectly, hitting forest floor 38 meters below with a sound that made everyone flinch. 1 down, 7 to go. But now the enemy knew someone was hunting them. The remaining snipers adjusted, going quiet, going still, becoming even more difficult to find. Victoria was already moving, sliding backward and relocating 30 meters left. Never fire twice from the same position. Fundamental sniper doctrine drilled into her until it was reflex. Her new position was behind a cluster of large rocks, providing excellent cover while maintaining good fields of fire into canopy. She settled in, scope up, scanning with patient precision. The forest seemed empty, nothing moving, no targets visible. But Victoria knew they were there. She'd counted 8 positions before shooting started, tracked muzzle flashes and impacts, built a mental map of where each enemy sniper had to be based on their fields of fire. Second target, 2 o'clock, 42 meters up. She couldn't see him, but she could see where he had to be. A thick branch that could support a prone shooter with enough foliage for concealment, but gaps allowing him to shoot. She watched that position with absolute stillness, becoming part of the landscape, her camouflaged form blending with rocks and shadows. 30 seconds passed, 60, 90, then movement. Just a few inches, but the branch shifted slightly under redistributed weight. Someone was up there, shifting position, trying to get better angle. Victoria's scope was already on the spot. She watched, waited, saw a gap in foliage open for just a second as branches moved. In that second, she fired. Through her scope, she saw the impact, center mass, exactly where it needed to be. The figure jerked, then fell, tumbling through canopy in that terrible slow-motion way falling bodies have. 2 down, 6 to go. Morrison's voice on comms, quiet with awe. "Mitchell, what the hell? How are you finding them?" Victoria didn't answer. Talking wasted time, wasted focus, could give away position. She let her rifle do the talking. Third target. 3 o'clock, 35 meters up, range approximately 290 meters. This one was smart, hadn't fired since her first shot, hadn't moved, was using excellent camouflage, and staying absolutely still. But Victoria could see the scope glint, tiny, almost imperceptible, just a momentary flash as enemy sniper moved his rifle and sunlight caught the objective lens. That tiny flash was a death sentence. Victoria waited, patient as stone. The enemy sniper shifted again, just millimeters, but enough to create another glint. She fired, 3 down, 5 to go. The enemy was panicking now. She could tell by the way they were moving, faster, less careful, breaking the discipline that had made them so effective initially. Fear made people sloppy. Fear made them make mistakes. Victoria was about to capitalize on every mistake they made. Fourth target. 12 o'clock, 45 meters up, range 380 meters. This one broke cover completely, trying to relocate to better position, visible for maybe 5 seconds as he moved along a thick branch with rifle slung. Huge mistake. Victoria tracked him smoothly, crosshairs following his movement, leading him by inches to account for speed and direction. She fired at apex of her respiratory pause when her body was at its stillest. The bullet caught him mid-step. He dropped the rifle first, clutching at his chest, then toppled forward. His body hit branches on the way down, bouncing between limbs like a rag doll before crashing to earth. 4 down, 4 to go. The remaining enemy snipers had gone completely quiet, no longer returning fire, no longer moving. They were either extremely well hidden or had decided to cut losses and run. Victoria wasn't going to let them run. She relocated again, this time to higher ground where a rocky outcrop gave her better elevation and sight lines. From here, she could see more of canopy, had better angles into positions that would be hidden from ground level. Fifth target. 9 o'clock, 32 meters up. This one had abandoned his position and was trying to climb down the tree trunk, moving as fast as he could while maintaining 3 points of contact. Bad tactics. In his rush to escape, he'd made himself visible against tree bark. Victoria caught him halfway down, about 15 meters up, completely exposed. The shot was almost too easy. Stationary target at 310 meters with no obstructions. She fired. 5 down, 3 to go. Morrison keyed his radio. "Mitchell, we've got movement on the ground. 2 enemy personnel moving east, approximately 450 meters out." Victoria was already repositioning, moving to where she'd have line of sight on eastern approaches. She found position behind a fallen tree, dropped prone, scope up and tracking. Found them. 2 figures in camouflage gear moving through forest at dead run, abandoning their elevated positions and trying to escape on foot. They were carrying rifles, but not using cover, not thinking tactically, just running. Range, 520 meters through scattered vegetation. Difficult shot, but Victoria had made worse. She tracked the first runner, calculated his speed, approximately 6 meters per second in rough terrain. Led him by a full meter to account for time of flight, compensated for wind that was stronger at ground level than shooting into canopy. Fired. The runner went down hard, tumbling forward with momentum, rifle skittering away across forest floor. 6 down, 2 to go. The last runner, the 8th sniper, saw his companion drop, looked back in terror, then ran faster. But fear made him stupid. He was running in straight line, following an old game trail, not using cover. Fatal mistake. Victoria tracked him, watched his pattern, calculated the intercept point. He was increasing range, now 580 meters, which put him near edge of her effective range in these conditions. She compensated for increased distance, for wind, for angle as he moved slightly uphill. The math was complex, but she didn't think about it consciously anymore. It was intuitive, instinctive, product of thousands of shots fired over years of training. Her finger found the trigger. Smooth press. Perfect release. The MK-13 spoke one last time. 600 meters away, the last enemy sniper stumbled, took 3 more steps on pure momentum, then collapsed face first into the ferns. 8 down. 0 to go. Victoria remained in position, scope scanning, looking for any additional threats, making absolutely certain there were no more enemy positions. She stayed there for a full 3 minutes, watching, waiting, analyzing. Nothing. The forest was quiet except for sounds of Chen working on Torres, Hayes groaning as someone helped him with his wound, and heavy breathing of seals who'd just stared death in the face and lived. Only then did Victoria key her radio. "All targets neutralized. 8 enemy snipers confirmed down. Area is secure. Recommend we establish perimeter and treat wounded while we wait for QRF." Morrison's response was immediate, but his voice had changed. There was something in it, a mix of respect and disbelief, and the kind of awe that came from watching someone do something that shouldn't be possible. "Mitchell, Jesus Christ, did you just eliminate 8 snipers by yourself?" "Yes, sir. Total engagement time approximately 12 minutes from first shot to last. There was a long pause. Victoria could imagine Morrison trying to process what he'd just witnessed. All elements, hold current positions. Establish security perimeter. Chen, status on casualties? Chen's voice came back, still tight with stress but more controlled now that shooting had stopped. Torres is stable. Chest seal is holding. Breathing is improving. Still critical, but he's not going to die on us. Hayes has stopped bleeding. Wound is through and through. Missed everything important. He'll need surgery, but he's stable. I can keep them alive until evac arrives. Copy. Mitchell, return to position. I want you on security in case there are more out there. Roger that. Victoria slung her rifle and moved back toward team position, taking circuitous route that kept her in cover. As she approached, she could see the other SEALs staring at her with expressions ranging from disbelief to something approaching reverence. Cooper, the 25-year-old who'd been one of the loudest voices questioning her capabilities, just stood there shaking his head slowly. I've been shooting with this team for 3 years. I've worked with some of the best marksmen in the Navy, and I've never seen anything even close to what you just did, not even in the same universe. Torres, lying on ground with Chen's hands on his chest maintaining pressure, managed a weak smile. Mitchell, that was the most beautiful shooting I've ever seen in my life, and I say that as someone who's currently bleeding because I couldn't make those shots. Victoria knelt beside him, checking his color, his breathing. You took a hit because you were doing your job, returning fire and protecting the team. That's exactly what you should have been doing. Yeah, but I couldn't see them. How the hell did you see them? Half those shots I couldn't even find the targets through my scope. Different training, Victoria said simply. She looked at Chen. What do you need? Keep pressure here while I prep an IV. He's lost a lot of blood. Victoria took over pressure duty, her hands steady and precise. This close, Torres could see her eyes, calm, focused, showing none of the adrenaline dump everyone else was experiencing. You're not even shaking, he said. We just had the worst firefight of my life and you're steady as a rock. Adrenaline management, part of the training. Hayes, sitting propped against a tree with pressure bandage on his shoulder, spoke up. Mitchell, I've been in this business for 18 years. I've worked with Marine Scout snipers, Army Special Forces snipers, the best shooters in JSOC. What you just did, 8 targets at extended ranges through heavy vegetation while under fire, that's not standard SEAL capability. Hell, that's not standard anything capability. Morrison approached, having secured the perimeter. He looked at Victoria with an expression she couldn't quite read. Mitchell, we need to talk. But first, he raised his voice so whole team could hear, everyone listen up. What Petty Officer Mitchell just did saved all our lives. Without her, we'd be counting body bags right now. I want everyone to understand that clearly. He turned back to Victoria, voice lower. Now, who are you really? Because the person who just did what you did isn't the same person who's been on this team for 6 months without firing a shot in combat. Victoria was quiet for a moment, choosing words carefully. Sir, I'm exactly the same person. I just hadn't had a reason to shoot before. This team hadn't encountered situations where precision long-range fire was the solution. Until today. Bullshit, Hayes said bluntly. You don't learn to shoot like that from standard SEAL sniper school. You learn that from somewhere else, somewhere specialized. Victoria met Morrison's eyes. Sir, my service record has gaps that are classified. I was assigned to a joint task force for 2 years before I transferred to Team 7. That unit specialized in counter-sniper operations, hunting enemy snipers specifically. The missions are still classified, and I can't discuss them. Morrison processed this. A counter-sniper unit. That explained a lot. Those units were small, highly specialized, operating in shadows doing work that never made it into official reports. How many? He asked quietly. Sir? How many enemy snipers did you eliminate during those 2 years? Victoria was silent for a long moment. More than 8, sir. Significantly more than 8. The team absorbed this in silence. They'd been operating with someone who was essentially an elite sniper hunter, and they hadn't known it, hadn't even suspected. Why didn't you tell us? Cooper asked, not accusatory, just genuinely curious. Because it wasn't relevant, Victoria said. I'm not here to be a one-trick pony. I'm here to be part of this team, doing team operations. The fact that my previous assignment gave me a particular skill set is just coincidental. I'm here because I wanted to be part of a team again, not operating alone. Morrison nodded slowly, understanding more than she'd said. Operating alone. That meant the counter-sniper missions had been solo or near-solo operations, deep behind enemy lines, hunting the hunters, eliminating enemy snipers who were killing coalition forces. That was dangerous work, lonely work, the kind of work that broke some people. The QRF arrived 30 minutes later, 2 Black Hawk helicopters full of SEALs and a medical evacuation bird for Torres and Hayes. By then, Victoria and 3 other team members had conducted battlefield assessment, moving through forest to confirm all 8 enemy snipers were down. The enemy had been professional, well-equipped with Russian Orsis, T-5000 rifles, quality optics, communications gear, camouflaged platforms built into trees. They'd known what they were doing, had probably been operating in this forest for weeks or months, setting up these positions, creating interlocking fields of fire. Against a normal patrol, they would have been devastatingly effective. They'd chosen their ground perfectly, had ideal shooting positions, controlled the terrain. They just hadn't counted on Victoria Mitchell. Each position told a story. The first sniper had been shot through chest from an angle that should have been impossible. Victoria had threaded the bullet through a gap in foliage maybe 6 inches wide. The second had been hit center mass through concealment. The third showed evidence of a moving target shot. The fourth had been moving between positions when killed. Professional shooting, world-class shooting. The kind of shooting that ended up in classified tactical manuals as case studies in how precision fire should be conducted. Jesus, one of the QRF operators said, looking at the 8th position, the runner who'd been dropped at 600 meters. This shot, he was moving, he was at extreme range. There's vegetation between firing position and target. This shouldn't be possible. And yet, Morrison said quietly, she made it look easy. The debrief took place 5 days later at a secure facility. Victoria sat across from Morrison, their platoon commander, and 3 officers from Naval Special Warfare Command who'd flown in specifically to understand what had happened in that forest. The senior officer, a captain whose name Victoria recognized from JSOC circles, opened a thick file. Let's walk through the engagement step by step. 8 enemy snipers, all in elevated positions between 32 and 45 meters up in trees. Ranges from 290 to 620 meters, all through heavy forest with significant vegetation obstruction, all while under indirect fire from other enemy positions. Total engagement time 12 minutes. Is that accurate? Yes, sir, Victoria confirmed. And you achieved 100% hit rate, 8 targets, 8 kills. Actually, sir, I fired 10 rounds total. 8 were target engagements, 2 were repositioning shots where I fired to confirm my 0 after moving to new positions. The captain leaned back in his chair, exchanging glances with his colleagues. Petty Officer Mitchell, I've been in Naval Special Warfare for 23 years. I've worked with some of the best snipers in the world. I've read after-action reports from every major engagement in the last 2 decades. What you did in that forest is, quite frankly, some of the most impressive precision shooting I've ever seen documented. Thank you, sir. The question is why someone with your capabilities has been sitting on a SEAL platoon for 6 months without anyone knowing what you were capable of. Morrison spoke up. Sir, if I may, Mitchell has been an exemplary team member since joining us. She pulls her weight, follows orders, contributes to mission planning. She just doesn't advertise her capabilities. Because quiet professionals don't advertise, Victoria said. They just do the job when it needs doing. For 6 months, this team didn't encounter situations where my particular skill set was the solution. So I did what everyone else did. Patrolled, gathered intelligence, provided security. I'm not here to be special. I'm here to be part of the team. The captain studied her. But you're not just part of the team. You're an elite counter-sniper operator who was embedded in a standard SEAL platoon. That's unusual. The question is why. Victoria chose her words carefully. Sir, After 2 years of solo counter-sniper operations, I requested transfer to a line unit. The work I was doing was effective, but it was isolating. I wanted to be part of a team again, working with people instead of hunting alone. One of the other officers, a commander, leaned forward. The 8 enemy snipers you eliminated, we've identified them. They were part of a highly trained unit that's been operating in this region for 18 months. They've been responsible for 23 coalition casualties before you stopped them. You didn't just save your team that day, you eliminated a threat that's been a thorn in our side for over a year. Victoria absorbed this. 23 people. That's how many the enemy team had killed before she'd ended their operation. Understood, sir. The captain closed the file. Petty Officer Mitchell, here's what's going to happen. You're being officially designated as SEAL Team 7's primary precision marksman. You'll continue deploying with the team, participating in all operations. But when situations require long-range precision fire, you're our dedicated asset. Additionally, you'll be running sniper training for the platoon, helping upgrade everyone's skills. Yes, sir. One more thing. The engagement in the forest is being written up for a Navy Commendation Medal with Valor device. Morrison has recommended you for a Silver Star, but that's still under review. Either way, what you did was exceptional and will be recognized. Victoria shifted uncomfortably. Sir, I was just doing my job. Your job saved 12 lives and eliminated a major threat. Take the recognition, Mitchell. You earned it. That evening, back at the team compound, Victoria was field stripping her Mk-13 when Cooper approached. Hey, can I ask you something? She looked up. Sure. When you were with that counter-sniper unit, how many missions did you do? Victoria thought about it. In 2 years? Approximately 87 missions. Some were single targets, some were multiple targets. Cooper's eyes widened. 87 missions. Jesus. And you were working alone? Mostly, sometimes with a spotter, but usually solo. Deep insertion, long-duration observation, precision elimination of enemy snipers who were killing our people. I can't even imagine. Most guys on this team have maybe 5 or 6 combat engagements with their primary weapon system. You had 87 specialized sniper missions. It was a different kind of work, necessary but not something I wanted to do forever. Cooper sat down across from her. I owe you an apology. Some of us, including me, we questioned whether you had what it takes, because we never saw you shoot, never saw you in action. We thought maybe you were, I don't know, coasting or something. Victoria continued cleaning her rifle. You weren't wrong to wonder. In this community, you prove yourself through performance. I understand that. I just hadn't had the opportunity to show what I could do. Well, you definitely showed it. Hayes is already back from surgery, and he told everyone you're the best sniper he's ever worked with. Torres, who's going to make a full recovery, by the way, wants to buy you a case of beer. And Morrison told the whole platoon that if anyone ever questions your capabilities again, they'll have to answer to him. Victoria smiled slightly. I don't need anyone defending me. The work speaks for itself. That's exactly what Hayes said you'd say. Cooper stood up. Anyway, I just wanted to say thanks for saving our asses, and I'm sorry for doubting you. No apology necessary. We're good. After Cooper left, Victoria finished cleaning her rifle and decided to verify her zero. She walked to the compound's long-range facility, a range that stretched out to 1,000 meters, and set up at the 600-meter line. She fired 5 shots, taking her time, focused on technique rather than speed. All 5 shots formed a group smaller than 2 inches at center of target. Perfect. As she was packing up, Morrison appeared. Most people would be celebrating after what you did. Taking time off, decompressing. Instead, you're out here practicing. Shooting is a perishable skill, sir. You use it or you lose it. Morrison watched her pack her gear with methodical precision. That counter-sniper unit you were with, did they give you a lot of downtime between missions? No, sir. Sometimes we'd do 3 or 4 missions a week. Sometimes we'd wait 2 weeks for the right opportunity. But when we weren't in the field, we were training. Every day. Thousands of rounds fired, working on technique, pushing the limits of what was possible. And now you're with us where sniper missions are rare. That's fine, sir. I knew what I was signing up for. I wanted to be part of a team, doing team operations. The fact that my skill set came in handy in that forest is just fortunate timing. Fortunate timing that saved 12 lives. Morrison paused. You know what they're calling you now? Sir? Ghost? Because those 8 enemy snipers never knew what hit them. You were invisible to them until it was too late. Victoria considered this. I don't need a call sign, sir. Too late. It's already stuck. The whole task force knows the story. The sniper who nobody knew was an elite operator. The quiet professional who eliminated 8 targets in 12 minutes. You're a legend now, Mitchell. I'd rather just be a good teammate, sir. Morrison smiled. You're both. And that's exactly what makes you exceptional. They walked back toward the compound together, sun setting over the European forest that had almost been their graveyard. Mitchell, Morrison said quietly, in that forest, when Hayes and Torres went down and we were pinned in that kill zone, I was running through options and none of them were good. We were going to take heavy casualties, maybe lose half the team before QRF arrived, if you hadn't done what you did. But I did, sir. That's what teammates do. You gave me the covering fire I needed to work. I eliminated the threats. Team effort. Morrison nodded, but they both knew the truth. Without Victoria's exceptional capabilities, the team would have been systematically eliminated by professional enemy snipers who held every advantage. She'd saved them. All of them. And she'd done it so quietly, so professionally, that even after 6 months of working together, they'd had no idea she was capable of it, until the moment it mattered most. The story of what happened in that European forest spread through naval special warfare community like wildfire. The designated marksman who nobody knew was actually an elite counter-sniper operator. The quiet professional who'd been hiding world-class capabilities. The woman who'd eliminated 8 enemy snipers in 12 minutes while her team was pinned down and dying. Petty Officer First Class, Victoria Ghost. Mitchell became a legend in the community, though she actively resisted the attention. She continued deploying with SEAL Team 7, continued being the quiet, reliable team member she'd always been. But now when precision shooting was required, everyone knew exactly who to call on. She never talked about her time with the counter-sniper unit, never discussed the 87 missions or the number of enemy snipers she'd eliminated, never advertised her capabilities or sought recognition. She just did the job when it needed doing, which was exactly what quiet professionals did. Years later, when instructors at Naval Special Warfare Sniper School taught the case study of the forest engagement, 8 targets at extended ranges through heavy vegetation in 12 minutes under combat stress, they'd always end with the same lesson. Never judge a shooter by how often they fire. Judge them by what happens when they do. The best operators are often the quietest. They don't need to prove themselves constantly because they know their capabilities. They wait patiently for the moment when those capabilities are needed, and then they execute with such precision that it looks effortless. Victoria Mitchell had gone 6 months without taking a combat shot with her primary weapon system. Then, in 12 minutes of perfect shooting, she'd reminded everyone why the quiet ones are often the most dangerous. The enemy snipers in that forest had been professional, well-trained, well-positioned. They'd chosen their ground perfectly, had ideal angles, controlled the terrain. But they'd made one fatal mistake. They'd assumed that because they couldn't see the threat couldn't see them. They'd assumed that because Victoria Mitchell had been quiet for 6 months, she wasn't capable. They'd assumed wrong. And in the unforgiving mathematics of combat, wrong assumptions get you killed. Victoria Mitchell had proven that in the most definitive way possible. 8 shots, 8 targets, 12 minutes, and a masterclass in why you should never ever underestimate the quiet professional with the long rifle. If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring tales of courage.